Every night, something happens that most people don't even notice. Dozens of planes take off for Europe, from New York, Toronto, Miami, all heading toward the same place, almost at the same time, and in complete darkness. Why do almost all airlines prefer to cross the Atlantic at night? And no, it's not for safety. The answer has nothing to do with darkness, or fear, or turbulence. It has to do with something much bigger. Money, schedules, and productivity primarily, and the massive global air choreography designed to move millions of people while the world each sleeps. Every year, more than 60 million passengers travel between the Americas and Europe. New York to London, Boston to Paris, Toronto to Lisbon. These are routes where a single flight can generate hundreds of thousands of dollars in a single trip. But here's the interesting part. The real business doesn't begin when the plane takes off. It begins when it lands. Because for airlines, the arrival time changes absolutely everything. Most passengers traveling from America to Europe don't want to land at night. They want to land in the morning. A flight that leaves New York around 8 p.m. lands in London around 8 a.m. local time. That means the passenger can sleep part of the way, land, go through immigration, and start the day almost immediately. Now imagine the opposite. Leaving the United States in the morning and landing in Europe at night. You'd arrive tired, with fewer connections available, and you'd lose practically the entire day traveling. That's why, for airlines, nighttime isn't a problem. It's exactly what they need. And here's something very few people know. A business class seat on a transatlantic flight can cost between 5 and 15 times more than an economy seat. On some flights, these premium seats represent less than 20% of the space, but generate more than 50% of the revenue. And these passengers value one thing above all else: going out at night and landing to start the day. That's why airlines design the entire experience around this model. Quick dinner, low lights, quiet cabin, breakfast before landing. Everything designed to transform hours of travel into hours of rest. But this isn't just about passengers. It's also about time. A Boeing 777 costs around $350 million, and that completely changes the game, because every hour it spends on the ground is lost revenue. That's why airlines try to keep them flying as much as possible. A plane can take off from America at night, land in Europe in the morning, spend a few hours on the ground, and fly back to America during the day. That way, the plane is working practically non-stop. And when you do that every day for years, the financial difference is enormous. But the most impressive thing happens outside the windows, because every night an invisible air highway forms over the Atlantic. It's called NAT Tracks, North Atlantic Tracks. These are air corridors that change every day depending on the weather, traffic, and above all, the wind. Because the jet stream exists in the Atlantic, a high-altitude air current that can exceed 300 kilometers per hour, 186 miles per hour. When flights travel to Europe, they take advantage of these winds to save time and fuel. And here's the crazy part. Sometimes the wind is so strong that some flights arrive almost an hour ahead of schedule. On certain occasions, they've even broken speed records crossing the Atlantic. And while for passengers it might just seem like an early arrival, for airlines, saving time on a transatlantic flight means saving a lot of money. On a single flight, that can represent tens of thousands of dollars in fuel, multiplied by hundreds of flights a day. We're talking about millions of dollars saved every night. And this is where it all gets even more impressive, because all those flights coincide, entering those routes almost simultaneously. Not by chance, but because everything is synchronized. Airports, connections, crews, air traffic controllers, and even the Atlantic winds. If you could look at the ocean from space at night, you would see dozens of lights slowly moving toward Europe at the same time, like a gigantic migration across the sky. And there's another crucial reason European airports need to receive those flights in the morning, because that's when the continental connections begin. A passenger who lands early in London, Paris, or Frankfurt can still connect to Barcelona, Rome, Berlin, Istanbul, or even other continents. But if those flights landed too late, many connections would simply be lost, and with them, millions of dollars. Here's another question you're probably already asking yourself. If flights to Europe are usually at night, why do so many return flights take place during the day? The answer lies in time zones. When you fly from Europe to America, Pattaya, you gain hours. A flight that leaves London at 2 p.m. can land in New York during the afternoon. That makes daytime travel much more sensible. But the opposite is true for flights to Europe. You lose hours, and that's where nighttime flights become the perfect option. And there's more. Many transatlantic flights don't just carry passengers. They also carry medicine, technology, spare parts, and extremely valuable merchandise. On some flights, cargo accounts for up to 30% of total revenue. So, while hundreds of passengers try to sleep over the Atlantic, millions of dollars worth of goods are also traveling beneath them. So no, airplanes don't cross the Atlantic at night because it's safer or more comfortable. They do it because every hour, every route, and every seat is calculated down to the millimeter to be as profitable as possible. Think of it this way. Tonight, while you sleep, there will be more than 300 planes simultaneously crossing the North Atlantic, carrying more than 100,000 people, thousands of tons of cargo, and billions of dollars in motion, all perfectly synchronized, all invisible, all happening while the world sleeps. If the world of aviation piques your curiosity, this video will surprise you even more.